In this video, we are going to discuss how to organize a descriptive essay. Let's take a topic example. Suppose your topic is describe a railway station. So your first paragraph, the introduction, you have to write a general impression, your general impression of a railway station. A general impression of a railway station through your own eyes. You can also write about why you are there at the railway station, maybe to see a friend off or to receive your friend. So now you're waiting for the arrival of his train. You need to write a short and flawless introduction. It can be 5 to 6 sentences long, minimum 5 to 6 sentences long, but maximum 8 to 9 sentences. Just remember a short and flawless introduction. Address the topic, write in the introduction itself, give a general impression of a railway station through your eyes, why you are there, what you're doing there, just in 5 to 6 or 7 sentences. Now, moving on to the body of your essay. The body can be 2 to 3 paragraphs long, but keep in mind the word limit. Don't make it too long. Don't include too many paragraphs. Keep in mind the time limit and the word limit, and then go on and furnish the body of your essay. So, what do you write in the body of a descriptive composition? Number 1, what you see with your eyes. You might see crowded, long queues at the ticket counters, passengers pouring out of the train as it comes to a halt, and then you might also see that there are several hawkers, coolies, stray animals running about. All the benches and seats were occupied by passengers and people. Magazine stalls selling cheap pirated versions of popular best-selling books. You might also see broken dustbins spilling over. You know, the waste is all on the floor, the dustbins are spilling over, the waiting rooms are extremely untidy, they are lacking in chairs, they are extremely crowded. Then there are food stalls selling different kinds of fast food. Then there are tea stalls, etc. Number 2, what do you hear? So basically in your body you have to list all of the different senses. Your sight, your sound, your smell, your feelings. This is what goes in the body of your descriptive composition. So what do you hear? You might hear announcements about various trains, platform numbers being announced. You might also hear the cries of the different hawkers selling their wares. You might also hear people quarreling with each other, haggling with the coolies, trains screeching to a halt at the platforms. Do not just list these with commas. Try to include these points as separate sentences. Maybe in one particular sentence you include 2 or 3 points, or maybe 1 to 2 points. But do not just list all your points with commas. You know, try to incorporate them in separate sentences. Try to include all of these points as separate short sentences, but remember to bring more and more variation in your sentence structures. Number 3, what do you smell at a railway station? Now, we all know the various smells that we get at railway stations are usually not very pleasant. You often get unpleasant whiffs of smell from the urinals which are not properly cleaned. The tracks, the railway tracks, are often turned into dumping sites, causing a really foul smell and even making it extremely difficult for passengers to stand on platforms at times. So, smell, unpleasant whiffs of smell from the urinals. Tracks are often turned into dumping grounds, dumping sites, causing really foul smells, making it difficult for passengers to stand on platforms at times. Then there are the rotten, smashed vegetables and food on the floor, and the platforms thus give out a really rotten stench. The smashed vegetables, rotten food spilling out of the dustbin, and then there are rotten food in the broken dustbins, and those dustbins are without lids. So there's this pungent, musty odor, a very unpleasant smell all about, and it's very difficult to breathe at a railway station, because as it is, it's very crowded, and on top of that there are these different unpleasant smells, making it all the more difficult for people to breathe. So odor is a term you use for bad smell, rotten odor, pungent, musty odor. These are all terms that you use to signify a very bad, unpleasant smell. Now I'm going to tell you something very important. So if you remember, when I was describing the features of a descriptive composition, a descriptive essay, the do's and don'ts, I mentioned that in order to break the monotony of a descriptive essay, which is basically all about descriptions, at times you might have to insert a small incident that is very relevant in a railway station. Now we are talking about a railway station, so the incident that you mention in this essay, it has to be relevant to a railway station. It cannot be relevant to a park or a museum or a party or a wedding. It has to be relevant to a railway station, because your essay topic is describe a railway station, right? But if your topic was describe your experience at a book fair or describe your experience at a museum, then these incidents could be relevant to a book fair or a museum, whatever your need might be, whatever your essay topic might be. So here you have to add a small but very relevant incident that happens particularly in railway stations. For example, a station is often frequented by antisocials and pickpockets, right, who are out to steal things from people, especially purses, money bags and stuff like that. So maybe while waiting for your friend's train, maybe you witness such an incident with your own eyes. An old man suddenly cries out for help, and in a flash you see a young chap running out of the exit. So this is something you witness in a railway station, and you add it in a narrative tone in your essay, as if you're telling a story. So an old man suddenly cries out for help, and in a flash you see a young chap running out of the exit, literally bolting out of the exit. So what happens then? A big crowd accumulates around the man. You learn that his wallet has been picked by someone. So the old man is very dejected, as he did not just lose a considerable amount of money, but also some really important documents that were in his wallet. Immediately the railway police intervenes, and the crowd is dispersed, and they write down the complaints of the old man. So this is a small incident which is very relevant in a railway station. A pickpocketing incident, okay, a stealing incident that usually happens in railway stations. So you just add it to break the monotony of all the descriptions that you're giving. But it's very important to remember that the incident that you will be mentioning, it should not be mentioned in a long paragraph. You can just write it in 5 to 6 lines, 5 to 6 sentences maximum, not more than that. Remember, a descriptive essay is all about descriptions. So focus on the descriptions. Add a small incident just to break the monotony of the descriptions, but the incident should not be your primary focus. Mention it in the body in just 4 to 5 lines maximum, not more than that. 4 to 5 sentences, that is, not more than that. Do not, spend all your time and energy describing the incident, because it's not a narrative composition. Remember that it's a descriptive composition. So you're entering this incident, you're inserting this small incident just for the purpose of breaking the monotony of all the descriptions, but do not treat it as your primary focus. The primary focus should be on the descriptions that you give through your various senses. In the meantime, you hear the announcement of the express train in which your friend was traveling. The train rumbles in. You start to look for your friend. Suddenly, you spot someone waving a white handkerchief from one of the compartments. You recognize your friend and follow the compartment as the train finally slows down and comes to a halt. I repeat, in the meantime, you hear the announcement of the express train in which your friend was traveling. The train rumbles in slowly. You start to look for your friend. Suddenly, you spot someone waving a white handkerchief from one of the compartments. You recognize your friend and you follow the compartment as the train slows down and finally comes to a halt. So, let me repeat my points once again. In the introduction, you give a general impression, your general impression of a railway station. You begin with that. You directly address the topic in the first paragraph, giving your general impression of a railway station. Then you state the reason why you were at the railway station. The body has to be 2 to 3 paragraphs long. You can split it up into 2 to 3 paragraphs, minimum 2 paragraphs. So in the first body paragraph, you write about the description of the railway station. What you see, what you hear, what you smell. So that all goes in the first body paragraph. In the second body paragraph, in a few sentences, 4 to 5 sentences, you insert the incident. The small incident that is very relevant to a railway station. In this case, the pickpocketing event. Keep one thing in mind, this incident has to be very short. It cannot be longer than the first body paragraph, which is full of descriptions. Do not make this incident longer than the first body paragraph. Just mention it in 4 to 5 sentences. Okay, so after this incident, you write about how you hear the announcement of the express train in which your friend was traveling, and then the train rumbles in, you recognize your friend, and then you follow the compartment, the train slows down and finally comes to a halt. So your body paragraphs are all done, neatly tied up in a bow, and then you move on to the conclusion. I have a few very important things to say about the conclusion. First of all, your conclusion cannot be one line. Many students write the conclusion in just one line or one sentence and it's over. But one sentence is not one paragraph. Your conclusion has to be a separate paragraph because you have separate marks for your conclusion. So minimum 5 to 6 lines. Minimum 5 to 6 lines. You can exceed 5 to 6 lines, but do not just write 1 or 2 sentences for your conclusion. 5 to 6 sentences minimum. You can exceed that, but do not exceed too much because it's the conclusion. But do not write just 1 sentence or 2 sentences for your conclusion, as it carries separate marks. Number 2, end on a happy note. The conclusion should be a happy one. Even though your experience at the railway station was not very pleasant, the sights and sounds and smells, they were not very pleasant, but you have to end on a happy, positive note. You can write about your feelings, your emotions, your happiness on reuniting with your friend after such a long time. It can be a friend, it can be a cousin, it can be anyone. So focus on that happiness. Focus on your feelings, focus on your emotions, the happiness you experience after reuniting with your friend or cousin. And then you might end with a sentence where both of you walk out of the railway station happily, maybe holding hands after such a long time. But do not write, thank God I was out of the railway station. Thank God I was out of that hellish place. Never write something like this in your conclusion. The conclusion has to be a happy and positive one. You have to end on a happy and positive note. So focus on the feelings, on the emotions, on the happiness of the reunion rather than your unpleasant experience in the railway station. So a few points to remember before I wrap up this video. Number 1, stick to the theme, stick to the topic that has been given to you. Do not write irrelevant things. Do not digress. Do not waste your words by adding meaningless, unnecessary details. You are asked to write about a railway station. Do not write about your childhood, a visit to an amusement park, a visit to a garden. They are all very irrelevant. Do not bring those incidents in this essay, but write a relevant incident. Insert a relevant incident into your body. That's number 2. Insert a small but relevant incident inside the body of your essay, something that is very relevant, but it has to be 5 to 6 sentences, not more than that. Your incident should not exceed your body paragraph, the first body paragraph. Number 3, if you are asked to describe a railway station, start your essay on the platform itself, directly in that place. Start your essay on the platform, not how you are leaving home and traveling by a taxi to the railway station. It's completely irrelevant, completely unnecessary. If you're asked to write about a railway station, start on the platform, directly on the platform. And then add the purpose of your visit in one line in the introduction. And lastly, focus on the description of the railway station throughout your essay. Focus on the description. Add one incident, one relevant short incident, but the description should be your focus as it is a descriptive essay. So that's it for this video. Hope you learned something new in this video. See you again in the next video.